Oh my goodness, man. Hello and welcome. I'm your host, Wim Lou. You are listening to the Raptors Reaction Podcast. Raptors win 145 to 127. Yes, if you stayed up late to watch this game, the Raptors rewarded you with an absolutely blistering performance, led by Immanuel Quickley, who, my goodness, man, IQ silencing all the haters tonight. 40 points to tie his career high, previously set with New York. 40 ball for Emmanuel Quickley. Awesome throw. Here's the best part about the 40 ball. This man got 40 points taking only 13 shots. That's unbelievable. He went 11 of 13 from the field, 7 of 8 from 3, a perfect 11 for 11 from the foul line. Also had 10 assists as well. So that's a 40 and 10 on 13 shots. Like, damn. Damn. And of course, the Raptors as a whole basically did that as a group. Raptors end the night shooting 59% from the field. Raptors shoot, get this, after all this hand wringing, and honestly, not just by us, by the Raptors, all this bricking by the Raptors, who officially became the 30th team in the NBA in terms of three-point percentage after their 20% performance against the LA Lakers. 2 nights later, Raptors bounced back, was shooting 21 of 34 from three. You already know that's the Raptors' best three-point performance of the season. They shot 62% from the three-point line. They didn't miss a single free throw, 22 of 22 as a team. And you knew this one was going to be potentially difficult, given the fact that you saw that the Warriors, had been hot lately. I know they had just lost Jimmy Butler last night to the ACL. Get well soon to Jimmy Butler. That's an all-time Raptor killer right there. All-time great player, two-way player, one of the best in the NBA. I think the Warriors have been winning at like a 60 win percentage, 66 win percentage since they traded for Butler last year when him and Steph have both been in the lineup. I think they were like 42 and 18. So much respect for Jimmy Butler. Great personality. Just tough ass competitor. Again, all-time Raptor killer. So that's within the last 24 hours. Obviously tore his ACL, so you could kind of feel in the first half it was kind of like a funeral. But I mean, part of the reason it was a funeral in there was also just the Raptors were just lighting up the Warriors. It was unbelievable to watch. After 5 minutes, Steve Kerr finally called timeout. This is when the Raptors had 23 points on 9 of 11 shooting through 5 minutes. They started the game with a 10-0 run. And, the Raptors started a pretty unorthodox lineup, a lineup they haven't used much at all, especially as a starting lineup. Raptors tonight started with Scottie Barnes, Brandon Ingram, and 3 guards. It was Scottie at center, which worked really well against the Warriors last time. Remember when Scottie had like 26 rebounds in the overtime when Raptors had an incredible comeback in the fourth quarter and then just dominated overtime. So Scottie playing center. Brandon Ingram playing the 4. Grady Dick gets his first start of the season as the 3, and then IQ as the 2 and Jamal Shed as the 1. So ultra small lineup, but of course you can get away with that considering how small the Warriors are. And I mean, they just blew the Warriors away. They actually did to the Warriors what the Warriors used to do to other teams, which was play super fast, play super small, and just kind of like overwhelm teams with that speed and obviously outside shooting. Now, granted, the Raptors literally never shoot like this, so that helped to see the Raptors knock down all these threes. And IQ, by the way, was impeccable to start the game, knocked down back-to-back threes right away, and got the Raptors off to this hot start. But Raptors used this really small lineup to play so fast. They were so aggressive, little not even scripted actions, but any sort of screen. The Warriors were sort of like a little slow to react to those. They were feeding guys on the slip. Scottie got so many layups and dunks tonight. Mamu got so many layups and dunks tonight. And they just blitzed the hell out of the Warriors. And, it really wasn't much of a game, honestly. And of course you're a little nervous because the Raptors are shorthanded. The Warriors got Steph Curry. And the Warriors have been playing great lately. They've been shooting threes like this. Basically, they've been doing what the Raptors have been doing on 3. But that run just wasn't coming. I mean, it got out to the second half. You're like, okay, are the Raptors going to maintain their intensity? They came out just as well in the second half. Then the Raptors got it to 30 points. They had probably the best passing play of the entire season for the Raptors, where The play started with IQ and Scottie doing a give and go. Got to the middle of the floor. IQ bounced it back to Scottie. Scottie's at the top of the floor, sees the floor is collapsed. He kicks it out to the perimeter to Ochai. Ochai pump fakes Steph Curry out of his shoes. Ochai drives middle. There's a crowd in the middle. He dishes it back to Scottie at the free throw line. Scottie throws a down low to Mamu, who's like cut in from the opposite side. Mamu again sees a crowd in the middle and then throws it opposite corner to Grady Dick, who knocks down a three. They literally made 8 passes in the span of like 5 seconds and a whole bunch of cuts in the whole process. And that three put the Raptors up, I believe, 91-61. Like, they were up 30, at points up 30 plus. And you're just like, this was incredible. Like, you actually could not draw up a better offensive performance for the Raptors. Like, it's inconceivable that this team, which coming into this game was 30th out of 30 in 3-point percentage, having shot like pretty much 20% for like 2 straight weeks from 3, who just shot 21% against the Lakers in a miserable game where the Raptors only scored 93 points against the Lakers and got zoned all night. I mean, the Warriors tried some zone here tonight too, but the Raptors shooting a 3 like this, they just like blew the doors off and torched the Warriors. I mean, the Warriors did make a comeback. You know, I would be remiss not to tell you that. I mean, the Warriors did make a push that got it down to single digits eventually, which, you know, coming from 30 is a lot, right? And, you know, there was Buddy Hield got hot. Jonathan Kuminga has finally gotten a chance to play, especially now that Jimmy Butler's injured. You know, he literally got dissed by his own general manager before the game. You know, Mike Dunleavy took a press conference before the game. He was asked about Kuminga's trade demands, and he said, yes, I'm aware there's a demand, but in order for me to acquiesce to a trade demand, there's got to be demand for the player. And I was like, damn, this guy got cooked with the Jay-Z-esque bar. I'm not a businessman. I'm a businessman type of bar. But, I mean, Kuminga created some demand for himself tonight. I mean, he had the ball, and after a bit of a slow start, which, again, you can understand, the guy never plays, he got like a lob from Draymond, and that just like completely got him going. He exploded for like, what did he have? All his points were in the second half, it felt like. Kuminga had tonight 20 off the bench. Buddy Hield had 25. And those two guys were like single-handedly leading the comeback. A little bit of Cam Spencer in theirs as well. Or Pat Spencer, sorry, Cam plays for the Grizzlies. It was Pat, Officer Pat Spencer wearing number 61 and a handlebar mustache. But like, you know, the Raptors were still able to score. And that's the thing. Like the Raptors, you know, if you were to nitpick this whole performance, and again, I don't know why you would necessarily do that, but, you know, it wasn't a perfect performance. There were moments that made you feel nervous. I to be honest, I only had 3 things to complain about. Number one, I thought Scottie, like, lost his focus and intensity. I mean, he was so locked in. He was so focused, playing excellent. I think he made his first 7 shots as well. They're all, like, either mid-range shots or going right to the basket, rebounding, switching. He was doing an amazing job. Like, when the Raptors got off to an amazing start and built that huge lead, Scottie Barnes was locked the hell in. But then the fourth quarter rolled around, and I don't know what happened, but he like started complaining. There was a play where he's complaining to the referee literally as Buddy Hield collected the ball and just shot a 3 right in front of him. It's like, dude, like that's a red hot shooter, and you're just letting him go. And then he threw a cross-court pass, you know, that was like easily picked off going the other way. Then he started like losing his intensity and like losing track of his man. By the way, he was guarding Kuminga during that stretch. As the leader, I was just like, what's going on? Like I've seen Scottie so locked in, so like hungry all season, including literally through the first 3 quarters of this game. I didn't understand why he locked out of this game. Same thing with Jamal. Jamal had been excellent in this game. You know, him playing point really allowed IQ to sort of play more off the ball. You know, him and IQ have played really well together this season as a 2-point guard lineup. And even though IQ created plenty for himself, I mean, there were moments where IQ was literally going one-on-one against Steph Curry and just, you know, banging jumpers over him. It was very impressive. But, you know, I thought Jamal was also able to allow IQ to play more off ball and spot up, and IQ obviously was able to get free. And Jamal was playing great. But then for some reason, Jamal started in the fourth quarter and just like started back-to-back turnovers. He had a play where he just completely lost his man, cutting to the corner for 3. It was Pat Spencer. Jamal even tapped his chest saying, my bad, my bad. That turned it from a 14-point game to an 11-point game, and it built more energy in the crowd. So the 2 like guys that I really, really trust to close out in Scottie and Jamal started making irresponsible plays, and Jamal ultimately got himself benched for a while before he came back in to close, and was much better once he closed. And to Scottie's credit, he did lock in after about like, you know, maybe 6-7 minutes of just like kind of spacing out, but he blocked back in and he made a couple plays on the stretch. And then my third complaint really is just Ochai. I mean, just Ochai was just like, in a game where the Raptors scored so easily, Ochai made it look so weird, and he also was just turning the ball over. He almost single-handedly ruined the Raptors' momentum to start the game. But again, like, whatever. Like, I don't know. You don't really tune into these shows to hear me complain about Ochai all the time. There's nothing more to say. I just don't think he fits. But this is where I got to circle back to IQ again, because not only was IQ amazing to start this game, knocking on the back-to-back threes, making plays, setting guys up, but down the stretch, when the Raptors felt some semblance of pressure, some semblance of adversity, when again their two main guys, in terms of the two main ball handlers, were each throwing sloppy passes over and over again, like Scottie and Jamal, IQ locked the hell in for the Raptors and said, this is not crunch time, but this game is over. Watch me take over this game again. And IQ drawing, multiple fouls, get himself to the foul line. Again, he was perfect 11 of 11 from the foul line tonight. But getting himself 4 free throws down the stretch there, making 2 great plays, one swinging it to Brandon Ingram for 3, and another one where he drove, collapsed the defense, kicked it back out, and I think he got Mamu a 3 off of that as well. He also fed Scottie Barnes rolling to the basket for a dunk. And then, of course, he finally hit another 3 late to give himself 40 to, again, shut the door. And watching that performance from IQ, and I'm just like, you know what? He is taking shit from everybody. He's taking shit from, just pretty much everybody. Like, everybody media-wise, everybody fan-wise. Like, he's like the #1 lightning rod. I've how many times have I said this season that IQ has been the most overhated player? Like, he is just, everyone's blaming IQ. They're like, oh, Grady Dick doesn't play well, it's IQ's fault. I'm like, I don't think so. But okay, but we're just rolling up everything into IQ. So it does feel great for IQ to show, again, what he can do. Again, this is by far his best performance of the entire season, and he has been inconsistent. It's not to invalidate anything. But I just think if you're going to be fair to IQ, and you're going to say, well, probably the biggest legitimate critique of IQ is that he's not a point guard. He doesn't fulfill the abilities of a point guard. Well, what he did down the stretch tonight was him playing perfectly at point guard. And we got to give him that credit. Because, again, Jamal, everyone's favorite. Scottie Barnes, everyone's other favorite. They were starting to lock out. The Warriors starting to lock back in. They were making a push. And IQ settled everyone down, took care of the ball, didn't turn it over, got themselves good shots, got himself fouled, made his shots, knocked down his threes, and then set up his teammates and just shut the door. And honestly, I just want to give him a ton of credit for that, man, because, I think a game like this really shows, like, the upside. Like, sometimes we swing, obviously, as fans, right? We're going to swing really low after losses, right? We got really low after that Lakers loss. I was frustrated. Watching the whole game was frustrating. Watching Luka complain. Watching the Lakers throw lobs to DeAndre Ayton. Watching the Raptors brick. Watching the Raptors inability to solve a zone. Those things are all frustrating. And you swing low because you're like, damn, like, CMB left this game now, and, like, what's going to happen the rest of the road trip? Are we going to 0-5? Like, and then you come into this game against a Red Hot Warriors team. Obviously, you catch a bit of a break with Jimmy Butler going down. And again, like, you never want to see a great play like that ever get hurt, But you still don't come into this game that, confident. I know when people saw the starting lineup, they're like, Grady Dick starting? Like, what's going on? To see them come out like this, like, you gotta like, swing high when you swing low too. And honestly, when you see a game like this, it's like a reminder of, like, oh yeah, we've been frustrated with IQ because he hasn't performed up to standard, or, below what he's shown, and even below maybe what expectations are. But if he just regresses back to the mean, which he's totally capable of doing, he's a very good player, what does that do for the rest of the team? We've been begging for a scoring guard who doesn't need the ball all the time, but can create a little bit on the ball, but mostly can space off the ball. That profile fits IQ. He just hasn't been doing his job on a more consistent basis and fulfilling that to the most. But if he gets hot, and again, he's a shooter, so he's going to have ups and downs. He's not just going to be like, 40% every single night. Nobody's like that. Even Steph Curry is not like that. Steph was shooting air balls tonight, right? But, like, if he gets back to the level where he is, or even above that level, which if we feel like he can get cold, he can get hot as well, that raises the profile of the team, And it's the same thing with Jakob. I mean, with Jakob, it's a health thing. Hopefully his back's going to be able to be mended and fixed. But ultimately, when we look at these games where, tonight, again, when the Raptors play small ball teams, they have no issues, right? The Warriors are a small ball team. Raptors ran them out the gym. But when the Raptors obviously run into size, and they will run into more size over the course of this road trip, if they could have Jakob available for some of that, you know, the level that will take the Raptors back up to, you know, and then RJ, of course, good news on that front. If you haven't seen the news already, Danielle Michaud relayed on the broadcast that RJ Barrett plans to play tomorrow night. So, like, there is built-in upside with a couple of these players already on the team. So, man, I just think that, like, it's a good night to indulge, you know, and what a pleasure it was to watch the Raptors play like this. I'll have to say, like, watching the Warriors play shell shocked, I did feel really bad for them. Again, like, losing Jimmy like within the last 24 hours is such a terrible thing to hear. An ACL injury is so serious, especially at Jimmy's age, and of course, like, what he means to that organization as a person and also as like as a competitor, as a player. He's been fantastic, like all-star level player. So I'm sure that factored in a little bit, but watching the Raptors come out and play that fast, and everyone playing so focused, Raptors going into their bench, you know, maintaining that energy, how many early shots the Raptors took, how confident they looked, that was great. And I think, you know, when these wins happen, you got to really take that as an affirmation of your team's identity. Like, for a young team, they have to prove it to themselves that this is possible for them. And then they have to do it over and over again to cement that as their actual identity, to make these into like their core habits. And of course, there have been games where the Raptors have not lived up to this, but tonight, to see them play like this was very eye-opening. It was very affirming, and not just for IQ, but for lots of guys. Like, even for Grady Dick, for example, I saw him in the starting lineup tonight, and just, you know, just to double check, I knew he had not started any games prior to this, but just to double check, I was like, okay, let me look at Grady to make sure, you know, this was in fact his first start of the season. And so Grady makes his first start. He had played the previous 44 games, all entirely off the bench. But what was surprising to me was, I forgot this, but Grady Dick literally started 54 out of 54 games that he played last season. He was the starter for the entire time. And then I also saw that he started 17 in this rookie season, and pretty much all of that was towards the end of the year. So it's conceivable that Grady Dick really could have started like 70 straight games in a row, then comes into this season and comes off the bench for 44 straight games. And it's not like they didn't have chances to bump him into the starting lineup. You know what I mean? Like, RJ's been out for half the year. You know, they've had Jakob out for half the year. You know, like, guys have missed time. Even Brandon Ingram missed some time as well. Like, you know, they've had lots of chances, and everyone else has gotten chances. Ochai Agbaji, who has done nothing all season, has started lots of games. You know, Jameson Battle has jumped him in the rotation sometimes and started games. Jacoby Walter, Jamal Shed, you know, like, they've started everybody else basically except for Grady, right? And for Grady to get into this game, I was like, okay, you're with the starters. What's that going to look like? And I'm not going to say that it's because Grady was in the starting lineup that the Raptors played to this extent offensively. That's like, I mean, you just can't, like, that. You're just like attaching two coincidences and saying it's like causation. It's not that simple. But I will say that for a guy who got his chance to play, I love the way Grady played tonight. You know, first play of the game was a back cut going to the basket. Scottie fed him being confident shooting the threes, and, you know, what did Grady Dick shoot tonight? 2 of 5 from 3. Got to the foul line, defended the ball, dove on the floor, played hard. And of course, in a game like this, pretty much everybody was able to score freely. And, you know, there's that element in terms of how much everybody was following the game plan. And that's a good credit to the coaching staff and the leaders of this team to get them ready to play and, you know, for them to stick to the principles. But I was happy for Grady to do that. And of course, like, you're not going to start this type of lineup, you know, unless you're injured. But, you know, if we just look at what objectively happened here tonight, the Raptors had Scottie Barnes and 4 shooters. And man, do the Raptors never have Scottie Barnes and 4 shooters around him, right? Scottie Barnes, 4 shooters, guys playing fast. You might say, okay, Shed's not really a shooter, but, like, you know, they still kind of guard him out there. But, like, yeah, it was like Scottie and 4 shooters, and, you know, enough ball handlers to play at a high pace. And man, they just like blew the doors off of other teams. So, yeah, I think I'm just like kind of really happy with sort of how everyone performed tonight. Brandon Ingram got off to a slow start, but then in the second half, just him knocking down back-to-back threes in the third quarter, that again maintained the Raptors' advantage and pushed it again closer to that 30 ballpark. When the Raptors were starting to lose the lead towards the end of the third quarter and start of the fourth quarter. Brandon Ingram had a stretch where he had 7 straight points. He had 3 straight buckets in that stretch as well. I mean, it's just his ability to score, especially first half, they were kind of double teaming him. Second half, they're playing him more single coverage. You can't ever play Brandon Ingram single coverage. Like, he was just cooking. Like, he just cooks. It's so easy for him. Jamal Shead, I thought he played great, in terms of setting the pace, handling the ball, setting up IQ, setting up, Scottie. Mamu coming off the bench, man, Mamu has just been a godsend. Sometimes Mamu is like inconsistent, and sometimes he's not quite there, and he has these like weirdly low lows where defensively it's not there for him, and then offensively he's not hitting or he's not as aggressive. But when he's on, which is like, I don't know, at least 2 out of every 3 games, if not 3 out of every 4 games, which is pretty consistent for a bench player. Like, he just takes the Raptors to another level. He was rebounding 14 and 12 off the bench, knocking down threes as well. That was a huge part of the Raptors. Again, hot start was just getting that sustainment from the second unit, that sustenance. And then, yeah, I mean, Battle came in, he cut to the basket. He knocked down some threes. AJ Lawson played aggressive. Mobo got in there, in the first half. He was like contesting shots, getting, steals. Warriors, again, were playing really sloppy. But Mobo's energy was great, and it really kept up that tempo for the Raptors. And again, once the Raptors got out to the hot lead, it was just basically about how they maintain it. And by the way, the Raptors maintained it. They literally led from wire to wire. And on that front, it was great to see the Raptors, come in here. Basically, everybody on the team scored except for Garrett Temple. Even Elijah Martin coming in garbage time, got fouled, got to the, you know what I mean? Like, everybody got something out of this game. And I think like they should feel so proud about how they played, especially in a tough circumstance. Tomorrow they play again, so it's gonna be tough. They're gonna be playing second half of back-to-back, but they'll be getting RJ back. And last time we saw RJ, he just had 16 points in the fourth quarter against the Hornets. Like, that was massive, right? That was before IQ hit the game-winning 3 right after that too. So this team is young. They're gonna go through ups and downs, and we're gonna swing low when they're low, and we're gonna swing high when they're high. I'm not going to be on here like Kawhi Leonard being like, every game monotonous, we never get too high, never get too low. But it's fun. And I just hope that like when people do really indulge in how like the doom of this team, please also do yourself the service of like reveling in the hope in this team, because this was a glorious game tonight. And, led by Immanuel Quickley, who has taken the most heat out of anybody all season. So we're going to take a quick break, hear from one of our beloved sponsors, and then when we come back, we'll take your questions and bring in the chain, all that good stuff, One guess as to who gets the chain.
This segment is brought to you by Table Fare and Social. Get your pregame bites and after-work drinks at Table.
It's a great location, right across the street from the arena and just steps away from Union Station and the Metrolinx bus terminal.
Well, I love my wedge salad, but there's plenty of options at Table. What should we have next?
Oh, we can have salad for days, my friend.
Oh, you're talking about salad days? I love salad days, man. They got a different salad for every day of the week. You can never get tired of the options there.
Oh yeah, I heard about this place. This was your go-to lunch spot forever. You always said the lettuce was so crispy.
Man, it's so crispy and fresh, and now this can be your go-to meal before Raptors games.
I like that. Grab a pregame salad at Table Fare and Social, right across from the arena. Okay, we're going to take your questions, and we are going to bring you the chain. One super intern, Karem, has grabbed the picture. I know Karem is staying up way past his bedtime, so everybody please, leave some dubs in the chat for Big K. Okay, we'll get to some of your questions. Man, a lot of good ones here tonight, and honestly, like a lot of stuff on IQ. Here's one from Champagne Bapu. IQ haters, crickets tonight. Yeah, we got crickets tonight. Like it's Serge Ibaka's "How hungry are you?" No IQ slander tonight. IQ channeled his inner Steph Curry. Hey man, honestly, I wasn't expecting him to outplay Steph Curry, but that was pretty sick to see. Like, there were plays when he was just going ISO against Steph, and Steph's like pretty strong. Like, Steph's not a bad defender, like especially against guards. And IQ just like, bumped him, got to the foul line, and then just stepped back and shot it over him. I was like, damn, he was so confident tonight. It was great to see. So yeah, super, super confident. And IQ's good vibes. We also got IQ shooting guard from here on out. Shed plus Scottie, point guard. I mean, no, I mean, okay. What can I say? I mean, first off, IQ and RJ have played well together as well. So, let's not just throw RJ to the wayside. I think obviously when guys are healthy, we know what the starting five looks like, right? It's gonna be IQ, RJ, Brandon, Scottie, and Jakob. That's when everyone's healthy. But it's good to see that like, IQ and Jamal have played so well off of each other. I think a lot of it does like correlate, you know what I mean? Like whoever ends up playing point guard usually takes a bit of an efficiency dip. And that's just sort of the sacrifice of having to create end of shot clock, having to get guys into their sets. That means that you're probably creating more of your own offense. And that's not to say that like, okay, I'm gonna take take away all the critiques or anything like that. But I'm just saying it's like an actual acknowledgement of how the game is played. And I do feel like when Jamal's in to run point, it's so much easier, especially in this offense by Darko, where there's a lot of screening, there's a lot of like off-ball movement. It's so much easier to get free off the ball, get more open, and therefore get more efficient playing off the ball. And for IQ, there's been times where they've needed him to create on the ball, and there are limitations to that. To be honest, I've actually had planned to do an episode tomorrow anyway. So tomorrow morning, me and Joe Wolfon are gonna have a pretty long discussion about IQ in particular, and the timing could have been. I swear we planned this before the 40 ball, okay? But yeah, like there are obviously things that you would want him to do more as a lead ball creator, on ball creator that, even sometimes Jamal does a better job, especially impacting the paint. But when he's able to space off the ball, and of course when he's able to shoot the three, because that's the thing, like he's been shooting below his career norms from three, whether that's like catch and shoot threes, whether that's pull up threes, whether that's like open threes, like it's just been lower across the board. And the one thing with IQ is like very consistent is like he's been a good shooter at every single season of his career, except for this one where he's been slumping. What that should tell you is that like it's not like he's like injured or anything. Like he's just going through a slump, and it sucks that it went through a slump at a time where the Raptors really needed more of the threes. But it also should give you some sort of like optimism that like, okay, I know a player plays bad, you don't really feel optimistic, but it's like players are going to find their level, especially longtime pros like IQ. And once that happens, that will fix a lot of the Raptors' issues, in particular with the three-point shooting. So, like, I'm not expecting him to go for 40 every night and shoot 7 of 8 from 3 and score 40 on 13 shots. It's absurd, but, it's good to even know that is capable of doing this. And again, a lot of that is actually just, like, finding the right role, finding the right rhythm, and even the right confidence, too. You know what I mean? Like, I think confidence, especially for all athletes, but I think in particular for shooters, like, I want IQ to play not carefree because I want him to be focused, but I want him to play aggressive and hunt for these shots. And tonight, he knew he was in the flow. The Raptors were up, and it was a beautiful, beautiful performance. Speaking of IQ, we have the picture here. IQ getting the chain post game, as you would expect. I mean, come on, man. Well deserved. By the way, the last time IQ got the chain, I believe, was when he hit the game winner against the Hornets. So. Yeah, exciting 2 weeks for IQ. Sometimes he's in, sometimes he's out. He also missed a couple games in between here as well, so it's good to see him back and healthy. And yeah, man, just like wow, just literally like wow. Like this is the most points any Raptors has scored all season. Matt Devlin brought it up on the broadcast. This is the most points scored by a Raptor since Pascal Siakam had 52 in the Garden. That was shortly before All-Star, and that got him into the All-Star game, I believe. But that was his career high. I think that was 2023, if I'm not mistaken. So it's been a minute since we had a 40 ball, man. I know Brandon got close with like a couple 37s or whatever. Scottie's had a couple, I think he's got like 38. I think that might be his career high. RJ's had a 39 last year, but IQ, man, hit the 40 mark finally, and it was great to see. Nobody really needed it more than Quick did for this one. Yeah. What else we got here? 21 points from just threes is ridiculous. Is that a Raptors record? No, I don't think so. I mean, let me look up StatMuse real quick. They're actually pretty good with this. Most threes made by the Raptors in a game. So the Raptors hit 24 threes. Oh, I remember this. Yes. This was the International Women's Day broadcast game. It was actually really cool to see when the Raptors put out an all women's broadcast, which, featured a lot of the talent across the board. I think Sportsnet and TSN collaborated on this, which was very cool. this was, I think, supposed to be Kyle Lowry's last game before the trade deadline too, I believe, because it was all widely speculated that he might get moved to like the Sixers or Lakers or whatever. Ultimately, nobody got traded, he wasn't traded. It was Gary who got traded. No, it was Norm that got traded. Sorry, but for Gary. But yeah, that game, you know, the Raptors hit 24 threes. Everybody was hot. I remember Kyle Lowry had like a plus 33 or something in that game. It was something absurd. Like, it's just like a really lopsided result. Raptors beat the Denver Nuggets that night, 135 to 111. So they had 24. That's the most they've ever made. They had 22 threes in a loss to the Milwaukee Bucks in 2021. I do not remember that game at all. They made 22 threes in 2020 in a win over the Washington Wizards. That was 140 to 111. I believe that was during their 15-game win streak when Serge Ibaka had the scarf. And then they made 21 tonight, obviously. They made 21 earlier this season, actually, against Houston. They lost that game 139 to 121, but the Raptors actually hit 21 threes in that game as well. Hit 21 last year in a win over the Pelicans, 119 to 93. I remember that was in New Orleans. That was like a nice little audition for Brandon Ingram to join the team. They hit 21 on March 19th, 2021 in a loss to the Utah Jazz by 3 points. They hit 21 against the Boston Celtics, but still lost 132 to 125 in 2021. And then there's a couple more instances of 2021. By the way, the 21 was actually the Raptors' high in terms of like most threes made in a game, even dating back to March 13th, 2005. And of course, I think you guys should know this one because March 13th, 2005, the Raptors beat this Philadelphia 76ers 128 to 111. That one, with the Raptors hitting 21 threes, 12 of those were hit by Donyell Marshall, which at that point tied a NBA record alongside Kobe Bryant. And the 12 threes was like the high watermark was for any player in a single game. And it was shared by Kobe and Donyell Marshall until I believe Klay Thompson broke it. And then Steph Curry and Klay have both surpassed the 12 mark since then. But yeah, some impressive performances, man. Yeah. So 21 threes, man. That's it's rare though. It really is pretty rare. You get this like once or twice a year. So that was really nice. Streets are saying this is the top 3 most efficient 40 balls in NBA history. Is that true? I mean, I guess how could you get more efficient than 11 of 13 from the field, 7 of 8 from 3, and 11 for 11 from the foul line? Like, it's hard to get more efficient than what IQ did tonight. But yeah, actually, I guess I'm actually surprised there's more efficient 40 balls in NBA history. Like, did somebody just hit like 14 threes and like a couple of twos and free throws or something? Like, that's pretty impressive. So, yeah, hell of a performance tonight, man. Nobody saw this one coming. I'm not gonna lie, I was hella pessimistic coming into this game, and wow, I mean, that was pretty good. Is this what it feels like to have a team that hits threes? Yeah, we've been deprived. We've been deprived, guys. We have been very deprived. But yeah, for one night we got to see what it looks like, and it looked really good. By the way, we also got the squad photo. So shouts again to Karem for pulling all this together as I'm just yammering away here. Here's the squad photo, whole team doing the call 5 celebration. Elijah Martin calling 5. Jamal Shed in the middle calling 5. IQ doing his other celebration with the little, aloha hands or whatever. AJ Lawson in the back calling 5. Garrett Temple calling 5. Mamu. RJ, of course. Scottie calling 5. And then, of course, the two at the very ends, the 2 bookends, Jameson Battle and Grady Dick, still devoted to the flex. Sorry, IQ, but the Grady Dick flex is eternal, okay? It doesn't matter that you got one of the most efficient 40 balls of all time. We're still going to stick to the flex. The white boys stay flexing. And of course, hey, by the way, I know we mentioned this a couple times, so I'm happy that we actually have this here as well. But if you look in between Jameson Battle and Elijah Martin, there's a white coach in the back with his arms crossed. That's Noah Lewis, and that guy is a pure hooper, my friend. I'm telling you. I've seen one time I got to see the Raptors like stay ready games, which was like late after practice. Like a lot of guys who don't play, kind of third unit guys, play a lot against the assistant coaches. And I was watching this, and I was just like, damn, bro, Raptors don't even look good in this context. And then I was just watching, and I was like, you know who I came most impressed with? Noah Lewis, the guy in the middle between, again, James Sabato and Elijah Martin, because he hit 3 threes in that one over like NBA players closing out on him, man. So, yeah, shouts to Noah. No, that's not the guy who they named the board after, but they should name it after him. I'd love to see his Noah stats for Noah Lewis. Here's from the comment as well via ESPN. Immanuel Quickley is the second player in NBA history with 40 points, 10 assists, and 80% field goal percentage in a game, joining Wilt Chamberlain. Bro, how is that possible? How does Wilt Chamberlain have every single stat, man? I mean, yeah, I'm sure when Wilt did it, it was a lot of hook shots and dunks. For IQ to have done a 40 ball with like mate, he might have hit like 2 layups at most, but it was a lot of mid-range jumpers, there was a lot of threes and a lot of free throws. Like the fact that he got 40 and it was that efficient and he only made 2 layups, I believe he got like 2 and 1s. Like that's absurd, man. That's absurd. Yeah. So there you go. Shout out to Matt Devlin with the Matt Devlin shout out voice. Grady Dick plus 17, not bad. Yeah, I was happy that he finally got a chance to start. I don't know what exactly prompted Darko to say after 44 games, like, Grady could finally get in there and start, but got in there and took advantage of the opportunity. You know what I mean? Like I thought he did really well, played really aggressive. What else do we have here? Scottie is tired. Yeah, I could see that. Scottie did look a little tired in the fourth quarter. He was also like complaining a lot. I just like didn't like to see him lose his focus. That used to happen more often when he was younger in his rookie tenure, in his sophomore tenure. But like what I saw towards the second half of last season and especially this season, like he's been so focused, so locked in, so intense that it's like very noticeable when he drops off and he sort of regresses back to old habits. Like, so I'm not like saying that like this is a problem. I'm saying that like he's been so good at it that you notice when he actually takes the foot off the gas. And yeah, if he's tired, I wouldn't be surprised. The season's been long. He's been playing heavy minutes. They're playing him center. He damn near had a triple-double again tonight. 26.7 rebounds, 11 assists, 12 of 18 from the field. Who can blame him for being tired? You know what I mean? Like he's had to carry such a huge and heavy load for the Raptors all season. Oh, we got a 40 ball as well, man. Oh, PSG 422. Sick, thank you. Sends in $40. Appreciate you. Thanks for a great podcast this season. I believe this is 40 bucks for a 40 ball. I feel like that's fair. That's really sweet of you guys. We also have Tyler who sends in 7 every night. So happy for IQ. He needed this game. Shout out to all of you on the East Coast staying up to watch the pod. Hey, the East Coast. I mean, we don't even just have people from the East Coast. We had someone here. Hold on. Someone in here said, Nasra Khalid says, I chose a good game to stay up for 5:35 a.m. here in London, but it was well worth it, man. That's what I'm saying. This is, you know what I mean? Salute to everyone on the East Coast, obviously staying up extra late. Salute to everyone, even just everyone in Toronto, okay? Because it's like, I'm pretty tired. I had to drink a tea at like 10:30. It was pretty tough, but yeah, it's 1:15 a.m. right now. I'm already pretty exhausted myself. So salute to all the super fans worldwide that are able to follow the Raptors no matter what, man. That was beautiful. We got more money as well. Michael sends it $2. Just says, "Let's go IQ." I love it. Just to highlight, and just show a little bit of love. I like when the community does that. At what would Chrissy do? Shouts to Christopher Montesanti. Sent him $2. Scotty's middies looked real, real as fuck. And also Ochai is poop emoji. Yeah, I mean, Scotty spent a lot of last season working on the mid-range game, and you see how comfortable he is. I mean, especially when they gave him, like, a lot of teams will kind of sag off a little bit at the free throw line because they're like, we kind of hope you take that shot instead of, like, driving at the defense. And Scotty loves it. Like, he literally takes that invitation to take that mid-range jumper, like, the dare shot. He takes that all the time, and he makes it all the time, too. But even tonight, he had a couple of baseline fadeaways. I mean, Scotty's been working on playing off of 2 feet a lot recently, and that's what's led to him being able to fake guys out of their shoes. He's had a couple of pump fakes recently where he's been able to like lift a defender and then step through or spin around and finger off the layup. Like some really, really nice and skilled moves off of those. But then tonight, actually early in the game, he had a play where he had a smaller defender on his back and help defense was coming from the top of the floor. And it was late shot clock. So Scottie decided to just turn over his shoulder and shoot baseline and just knock down the jumper. To be honest, I actually wonder like if playing with Brandon Ingram, he's picked up a couple things from that. I know earlier this season, one of the things was just like, we were asking everybody like, oh, what's your first impression of Brandon? Because everyone's so excited to get Brandon. And so I asked Scottie, like, what's your first impression of Brandon? This is like, in preseason. And he was like, it's just his footwork, man. The way he sets up guys to get to a shot, the way he like creates space and operates, like that's something, especially now having to see him up close and being in practices and being in games with him. It's just like that's something you got to really appreciate, like that skill level. And he was like hoping to adapt some of that for himself. So I don't know, maybe like Brandon's sharing some tips with him or something. I'm not sure, but Scottie has clearly put in work in his mid-range. It's really translated, and he's not a guy who spams it. Like Scottie's got like he's obviously primarily going to the basket. He slips out to the, he rolls and he play makes and he drives and gets on the offensive glass. Like there's lots of stuff that he does. The 3-point shot has really abandoned him once again, but whatever. That's never been like this is like the least crucial part of his game. But that mid-range is like a very important shot for him because he's got to create a lot of offense, and a lot of times the paint is cluttered, and it's not just being able to shoot at mid-range, but it's like how to actually stay on balance and create separation and pick the right moments. And I feel like he's done a great job of that, especially recently, but kind of throughout the season. The other part of Ochai being poop emoji, I mean, I'm not trying to be negative on a night where the Raptors scored 145, but this was one. Okay, so when Ochai first came in the game, the Raptors were already up like 20 or like maybe 15-ish points like in the first quarter. So Ochai comes off the bench. So there's a play where Brandon Ingram's posting up a small guy. Okay, the Warriors got a lot of small guards. So Brandon Ingram's posting up a small guy. I believe Grady was the one trying to feed him. And the Warriors were kind of like trying to like deny the post entry pass. Like again, just regular defense. So it took a little bit. Like maybe it was like a second for Grady to get the ball in. Ochai decides at this point, oh, they need help. I'm going to go flash, which sometimes is okay. Like sometimes you flash to a certain part, catch the ball, you throw the pass in a different entry angle. I'm not saying like you can't flash to the, to then, throw a high low. Like that's fundamental basketball. What's not fundamental basketball is Ochai literally flashed to right beside Brandon Ingram. Like Brandon was at the elbow, and Ochai flashed to the free throw line. And so he caught the ball there. Now, Grady shouldn't have given it to Ochai because Ochai literally, like, that's just not how you play ball. Like, even in pickup basketball, you'd be pissed at a move like that, right? Because you're literally crowding out the mismatch. Then Ochai gets the ball, tries to drive left against, Steph Curry. Steph's strong. Like, Ochai is strong, but, like, Steph's also very strong. He tries to take him to the basket and literally just loses the ball out of bounds. So already that's like a dumb play. Not only because of the turnover, but because you're literally making the wrong read by like cutting out Brandon's spacing. I couldn't believe when I saw that. And then the next play down, I think the Warriors got a 3, so that already cut into a bit of the momentum. On the next play down, the Raptors are playing fast, so they throw it to Ochai on the wing. There's not even much pressure. Like, yes, like Gary Payne's on him, but like he's got 2 hands on the ball, 2 feet inside inbounds, no problem, right? For some reason, as soon as he catches the ball, he hot potatoes it back to Brandon Ingram. Even though Ingram wasn't ready, he wasn't in position yet. He wasn't even really fully in the front court. And so the pass went directly to Guy Santos, who catches it, then tries to turn and spin and break because it's like basically like a fast break at that point. Brandon fouls him, and then they had to review for a take foul. Granted, luckily there wasn't a transition take foul or like a clear path foul because it really could have been. But watching those 2 plays back to back, I was just like, what are you doing? Like, genuinely, what are you doing? Like, I think a lot to like, obviously Bobby isn't as like visible as a presence as Masai is, right? You don't hear a lot from Bobby, right? But that does make some of the things that he says, like, stay in your mind a little bit longer. One thing Bobby said, and this was captured in an open gym, his meeting to the team at the start of training camp, he said, I'm going to keep this short, but I want 2 things out of you guys. I want you to play hard, which means you get back in transition, which means, you are back on defense. I want you to play hard. I want you to play smart. You got to understand what you're doing out there. You got to know your role. If you're coming into the game, take a minute just to think about what you're going to do tonight. What's your purpose? And go out there and do that. And that's what I'm just like, there was no purpose. There was not even a thought to what he did in that sort of stretch. And then, of course, like the rest of the game, he was missing threes, missing chances. Even in the game to like play defense, allows Kuminga to drive right by him. Like, I don't know. Like I'm not trying to make this about him because it's not about him at all. It didn't affect the performance in one bit, but it's just like really disappointing, man. Because like at minimum you can just not make mistakes. You know, like you can kind of hide out there, which is fine, but just like don't make mistakes. Like literally don't stand beside Brandon Ingram as he has a mismatch. You know, so. Late to class sends in $2. Whatever happened to the Cobra from game one? I don't really know because there was also like closeout king. They had like a crown for guys playing defensive, matchups. The coaching staff cycles in little props and keeps it fresh. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll ask someday. Maybe we'll ask someday. We also got, whoa, what is this? We got 24 what is this? 24 euros from Ian. Morning driver to work with hello and welcome. Love it. Damn. I guess people got to work really early. Would you rather work early or late? I'm definitely like I would much rather work like late night, even past midnight, versus like work early in the morning. I'm just like I have a hard time waking up early in the morning, so I'm not gonna lie. Like back in the day, I used to have. I think the earliest shifts I used to have to work were like downtown at 8 a.m. So probably have to like leave the house at like 6:45 type of thing, which is like I know pretty standard. It's not like that crazy, but yeah, I definitely struggled a lot with those versus like the nights where I had to like start work at 6 and end work at 2 a.m. and then get home for like 3 and I'd probably unwind and probably not fall asleep until like 4. Like I would actually much prefer that versus this. Maybe that's because a lot of my job is at night, so I'm always up to watch the games anyway. But salute to everybody out there, man. Worldwide, making the commitment to watch the Raptors at odd hours. I don't know how you guys doing, man. $5 sent in as well from RoboGym TV. With the rumors of the Knicks wanting to move off Cat, what do you think of his fit on this team? I could see the idea on paper in terms of like, okay, at a spacing 5. Obviously, like the Raptors, I mean, tonight notwithstanding, are like the worst 3-point shooting team in the league. They could use a spacer in the front court. I understand that. Number one, I don't think there's a viable trade here just because I don't think the Knicks are taking Jakob Poeltl and RJ Barrett, for example, in a package for Cat, or even RJ or like IQ and Yak for Cat. Part of that is because the Knicks literally quit on RJ and IQ, so I don't think there's like a huge appetite for them to bring those guys back. Even though I do think they could use one more scorer. Like I actually think that the Knicks team could really use RJ and IQ right now, to be honest. But whatever, that's neither here nor there. But yeah, I just don't think they'll take on Jakob, especially considering that's like they need size to like win the championship. They're already a little bit short anyway. They can't play Yak with like Mitchell as well. I just don't. I don't quite see it. And honestly, I guess I could reveal this. Yeah, fuck it, whatever. I can reveal this. So, I was, a group of us reporters were talking to Masai one day, and I think this was like shortly after the Raptors or the Knicks had traded for Cat, and we were all like, man, the Knicks look like they could win the East. You know what I mean? Like that's a big move. Like that trade was good value. Obviously, like Randall DiVincenzo are not as good as Cat, and Masai was skeptical. And I think the one thing Masai was like, I mean, he basically we all know Cat doesn't play defense, and we know that, but he was like, have you seen Cat's feet? They're like size 25. You're not be able to move around with feet like that. And I was just like, you know what? It's just kind of cool to be able to chat openly with Masai like that. So, yeah. Anyway, I know Masai's not here, but no, I think for a team, it's not a hard no. Like I guess I'd have to think about it a little bit more. But to be honest, I don't want to rely on Cat. I mean, I'm not saying the Raptors are too good for Cat. I mean, he absolutely is good enough to play for the Raptors. He would bring an immediate boost to the Raptors as well. But I do think that when the Raptors reach their ultimate goal of like trying to get to the playoffs and stuff, nothing's going to annoy me more. And I kind of honestly do root for the Knicks a little bit when the Raptors aren't obviously in the playoffs and contending with them. Like I actually like the Knicks fan base. I don't know. I like their team as well. Like so, I find myself rooting for the Knicks. Like the last couple of years, I've been like supporting the run throughout the Eastern Conference. But even just as like a temporary fan of the Knicks, it drives me up like it drives me up the wall when I see like Cat like committing dumb fouls and taking dumb shots and the turnovers and not defending. It's just like, yeah, no, I personally don't want it. No, I don't want it. So there you go. Man, we got a lot of money tonight, man. And I appreciate all of you guys for not just staying up and sending in money as well. Of course, we'll definitely take a lot more of your questions as well. It's not just the ones that send in money, although that, that certainly helps. Jazzy Canadian 88 says, what do you think of Mobile's performance today? I thought he looked much more comfortable. Yeah, it's hard to judge a guy on like 5-minute shifts sometimes, because like those guys probably don't even expect to play. Like if you're a Mobile, you're probably like, I gotta get dressed, I gotta get warm up. I'm not gonna play every single night, right? So tonight, I think there was like a clear intention to play him. Like he was clearly in the rotation. He was kind of like the 8th or 9th man, basically, to come in a rotation there. They needed him. CMB's been out. They finally have reached the point where they're like, okay, Mobile, you get in the game. And I thought, like it's not like he's a nothing. Like last year he played, and there were lots of games where he actually was like pretty good. Like, he's definitely got the energy to play as a small ball type of 5. I don't know. I mean, today the Warriors were so small that you can kind of play anybody at small ball, but like 5. But like he's got great length. He's a very good athlete. He's very switchable. He's honestly, last year one of the things with him was just he had a lot of possessions where he was switching out and like doing a really good job guarding in isolation against, like, I think one game Harden was around. He did a good job guarding Harden on a couple possessions. He got a couple stops on KD. He like switched on to Embiid sometimes. Like, there is a switchability and physicality to his game that's good. And I thought that's kind of what he brought tonight, was just that ability to sort of like rebound and again, just like push, a little bit of ball handling. Like he has a lot of elements that the Raptors do like. It's just, it's not really his fault that the Raptors took CMB and CMB's like just better than him. But, Mamu, obviously they signed Mamu as well. So, I mean, I explained many times with Mobile this year that it's just they brought in 3 guys that do the job better than he does. So, yeah, people were like, I was genuinely excited about Mobile last year. His defensive potential was truly something. I mean, the Raptors still have him. It's not like they don't, he's gone or anything. They have him on a pretty cheap contract. Like, if they want to actually choose to keep him around, they can. I think the difficult thing, ironically, even though him and Scottie are like really good friends and everything like that, like he doesn't really fit well next to Scottie, which is another hard thing to do as like a player who wants minutes on this team. Is like, if you don't fit well with the franchise guy, then it's tough. Oh, we also got $5 here from Peace Chang 6386. I think I know who this is. Serious player only. Oh man, hey, shouts to serious players only, man. That's a signature shoe brand, all right, from China that Jonathan Mobile is signed to. He's one of, I believe he's their only signature athlete right now in the NBA. I think they're probably looking to expand, per sources, and add more, players to the roster and expand their outreach. But I've been looking at their, promotions. I follow obviously Mobile on Instagram, but I've been seeing the ads. They look really well done. Whoever did those ads, they did a great job and clearly put a lot of thought and art direction into them. They look really well produced. And the shoes look pretty good too, you know what I mean? Like I mean, like I don't have a pair, so I can't attest to it, but I do play basketball. I would love to, personally put my feet in some serious players only and test them out. By the way, speaking of another serious player, Xavier Lee, who played at Princeton, and then transferred to Florida this year. Shouts to Xavier Lee, serious player only, knocking down a game-winning 3, step back over Purdue over the weekend. So, we got some serious players, man. And Mobile, back in San Francisco where he played his collegiate basketball, or some of his collegiate basketball, for the San Francisco Dons, which I believe is just up there in the Mission, I think. I think I passed it the last time I was in San Francisco. We legit passed the school. So, yeah. It's cool. Nice little homecoming. I'm sure he had, lots of friends and family in the arena. So, yeah. You'd love to put your feet where? In some serious players only. All right. Serious shoes only for serious players only. So, shouts to Mobo, man. Rocking the Dons tonight, I believe. Okay, we already got. Oh, hold on. IQ scored 40 points on 112.1 true shooting percentage. It's the most efficient 40-point game in Raptors franchise history. Wow. That's pretty incredible. What did Fred shoot true shooting wise when he had the franchise record? Because didn't he hit like 11 threes? And he had like 50, what's the record? 54? Because Fred low-key has the scoring record all time in a game for Raptors and the assist record, because he has 20 as well for for that record. Yeah. What did Fred do in that game? Because I could have sworn like he shot like something absurd for his 54 points as well in that game. Patience with IQ. He'll find some consistency. I mean, guys are going to come up and down. I think especially for him shooting the threes, like you're going to be more inconsistent when you mostly shoot the threes. So is what it is. Scottie and BI better be on the All-Star reserves. Oh yeah, the All-Star votes came in, and I think the media was higher on Scottie versus Brandon, and I believe the player vote was higher on Brandon than Scottie. I think people were like, I saw some discussion. I think I saw Aaron Rose tweet about it, and Josh Lewinberg saying like, oh, it's kind of interesting that the players like voted Brandon Ingram higher than Scottie, even though I think most people who have watched the Raptors all season can agree that like both guys have been huge and very essential, and both players are irreplaceable to the team, and both very responsible for the Raptors having 26 wins so far. But, who has done more, especially on both ends of the ball, has been Scottie. But when people do this, like, oh, it's weird that, like, players like Brandon Ingram, I'm like, it's not weird. It's the most normal thing at all. All players really like is that boy nice. Like, Brandon Ingram is one of the nicest hoopers in the NBA. The skill, the ability to shoot over the top, the cheat code, the footwork, how smooth he is with it, like, that's what players care about, man. Players aren't looking at like your EPM or like, oh man, this guy's defensive metrics are saying this, and I'm looking at scatter plots with like X and Y axis, and Scotty's over here, and like it's those are valuable things. Front office people look at that, maybe even coaches look at that, but players respect skill first and foremost, and it's not any deeper than just Brandon Ingram was nice as hell, man. And that's no disrespect to Scottie. Brandon Ingram nicer than most players in the Eastern Conference. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Yeah, Scottie got mad Vorp, but Brandon Ingram got that boy nice, man. So, there you go. But yeah, I mean, Scottie has objectively done more for the team, though. You know what's been good this season, actually? I've been so happy to see this from the fan base. There have been some moments where there's been, like, BI fans versus Scottie fans and, like, competing with each other. But for the most part, and maybe this is because the Raptors have been winning and there's not been too much to complain about. And I guess everyone just hates IQ. So like everyone just like IQ's taking the lightning rod for this. But I'm actually been really happy that there hasn't been like these stupid, inane, like, oh, Scottie versus, Brandon debates. They're literally teammates. And, they absolutely need each other for the team to be as good as it has been so far on the year. We'll take a couple more questions actually. But first, I want to let you guys know that, hey, if you got to work late, if you got to work at 1:35 a.m., you might got to make the chill choice sometimes, So watching this game, that was actually a pretty chill watch. Third quarter got a little bit, fourth quarter got a little bit stressful, but realistically, watching the Raptors tonight, watching IQ knock down every shot, that was a chill choice. And of course, you can always make the chill choice with Coors Light. Man, this was just kind of easy. I really wanted to kick back tonight and just enjoy, late night, you're kind of chilling. Everything's done. You know what I mean? It's cold as hell outside. It's going to snow again in Ontario. So, do a little bit more shoveling and all that kind of stuff. But, sometimes, you know what? This is my suggestion, actually. Instead of putting it in the fridge like usual, just take that thing outside, man. It's minus 12 degrees overnight. It's about to snow another 10 centimeters. Put the Coors Light in the snowbank. And then after about a couple minutes, you pull it back out. Magic. It turns blue on the mountain. That means the Coors is as cold and as refreshing as the Rockies themselves. So when the game heats up, why not make the chill choice by grabbing a crisp, refreshing Coors Light? Find Coors Light near you. Visit CoorsLightShop.ca. Celebrate responsibly, and you must be of legal drinking age. All right, we'll take a couple more, and then we'll just wrap up. Because honestly, I'm kind of tired, and there's no need for us to stay up until 2 a.m. Because we're about to do this again, by the way, tomorrow. Because Raps play again tomorrow at 10 a.m. or 10 p.m. So, load up a little bit. By the way, the chat here, I'm making a chill choice as we speak. I hope so. I hope everyone here is making a chill choice. All right. So, let's take 2 more questions and then we'll wrap. What do we got here? Full time fam jam. Trade Ochai and second round picks to find a decent center. A lot of underrated centers to be found in the second round, like Ryan Kalkbrenner, Maxime Renault, Jalen Williams, Musa Diabate, to name a few. Yeah, those are all pretty good centers that I would take on my team. Jalen Williams not really a center, but can certainly play big. Actually, the Raptors will definitely love Jalen Williams, considering how much they love 6'9" forwards who are versatile. But yeah, there have been some pretty good second rounders, especially in this year's draft too, with Kalkbrenner and Renault. Yeah, I mean, I think if you could, what are the rumors that if they can get Day'Ron Sharp or if they get Goga Pataza, we've been talking about this on the React Pods like all season. Like, yeah, if you can do it, go ahead and do it. You know what I mean? If you can get on the luxury tax in the process, it's a win. That's what the Raptors need, another big body. And I don't even mind giving up a second round pick here or there. Like, I think you can just buy them back in the draft. Like, they're not as valuable, and I don't even know how many roster spots the Raptors have, because I don't imagine like a huge amount of turnover in the team. There's not that many departures going out too, so you're already going to bring in a first round pick. Pretty much everybody from the team is locked in for next year. Let me just look at Raptors roster real quick. Raptors salary, Raptors team payroll. Okay, so impending free agents: Garrett Temple's a free agent. The two ways are free agents. Ochai Baji is a free agent. Everyone else is on the books for next year, right? So if you give up some second round picks, I don't mind, especially because like you don't even have space in your roster for second round picks. Maybe some of the two ways move on. Maybe you re-sign the two ways to more two ways. You never really know. Maybe you convert them as well. By the way, if you convert them, that means it takes up a roster spot. So the Raptors do have an empty roster spot, so they can convert somebody. By the way, if the Raptors don't, like, we're seeing AJ for a pretty decent amount recently. AJ Lawson, you've seen Elijah Barton also recently in the last month or so. One thing to note with the two ways is unless the Raptors actually convert them into a standard contract and take them off the two ways, those players are not playoff eligible, which can be a pretty important factor. Not to say that like you're going to play these guys too much in the playoffs, but just in case, you know what I mean? So it's a small accounting thing, but it's pretty significant. In any case, you bring a first rounder to this group. I don't even know. Like, obviously, there's probably going to be some movement that happens. Again, the Raptors have too many shooting guards, so you definitely wouldn't mind seeing some trades there. But if you bring in a center, if you bring in a first round pick, the Raptors basically have 15 like salary players for next season already. So whatever. That's something for management to figure out. And honestly, we talk trades every night, so I don't really know that. I don't know that we need to talk to them at 1:40 a.m. about roster spots. What am I even doing here? Can I ask CMB about Big Cats? Not Coach Big Cat. Shouts to Jamal McGlure. He's posted photos of a lion, tiger, leopard, and cheetah, and his profile photo rotates between them. You know what? That's interesting. I have noticed that. Okay, I'll ask CMB about cats. I'm wondering which guys on the team are like, dog people and which one are cat people. Obviously, I have 3 cats, and I'm firmly in the cat category. But yeah, I'm curious. I know Grady had a cat. Don't know if he still has that cat, but he had a cat. But yeah, I'd be curious to see who's a cat guy. I feel like Mamu's more of a cat guy as well. Although actually he's probably a dog guy. I think most guys are pretty much dog guys as well. So, but yeah, I wonder where CMB lands. CMB seems like a gentle soul, if I had to guess. So yeah. All right, last one here. I work in the industry as well, staying up, working late until 1 to 2 a.m. Pacific every night, if not later. The late peak-off tip-offs don't help night owls for life. Yeah, I mean, these, ever since Peacock took over some of the broadcasts this year, they've been doing double headers that start at 8 p.m. for the first one and then 11 for the second one. It's like, it's pretty late, man. It's pretty late, so there you go. Okay. All right. Wrap up. 3 stars from tonight's performance. To be honest, it sucks that there's only 3 because a lot of good ones here tonight. But first star is going to IQ. 40 ball, 10 assists, ultra efficient, historic game. Only played 33 minutes too. Just unbelievable game. Like, actually unbelievable. Second star is going to go to Scottie. I'm going to forgive the loosening up in the fourth quarter because he played so well the rest of the game. 26 points, 7 rebounds, 11 assists for Scottie Barnes, 12 of 18 from the field. Started this game just perfect, 7 of 7 from the field, and just got to the basket over and over again. Love seeing the work in the mid-range as well. And it would be great if the referees can give him some free throws because he was playing at the rim all night and he only took 2 free throws. And then your third star, I'm going to give it to Mamu. Mamu played really well, man. 14 points, 12 rebounds, 4 assists off the bench, a steal, a block, super efficient, knocked out 4 from 3. Just what a tremendous find. And yeah, just a really lovable guy, really lovable potential cat guy, if I had to guess. You're a Gerald Henderson Award winner. That's gotta go to Kuminga, man. Come on, how could you not give it to Kuminga? One of my favorite stats on the season is the Warriors have literally decided not to play Kuminga, and they told him basically in every situation to just like leave, okay, get traded, leave, and they benched him for the whole season. And he has, with this game tonight, he has played 1 fewer games on the year than Jakob Poeltl has for the Raptors. So please, Jakob, come back. But yeah, I guess it was cool to see Kuminga out there getting buckets. This is what he does. 20 points, 7 of 10, shooting off the bench. Before anyone asks, no, I don't want Kuminga on the Raptors, but I'm kind of closer to Steve Kerr in terms of like, this is not my type of player, but he can get buckets though, and he certainly was getting some buckets tonight. So that's it. Thanks everyone for listening. Appreciate all you guys for sending in questions. W's in the chat for Karem, as always, staying up late with us, and yeah, we'll do it all over again tomorrow night. But in between, obviously, we will actually have a discussion about IQ, and also we'll touch a lot more on trade rumors. Michael Grange at Sportsnet wrote an incredible piece, very informative, and we'll break all that down tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Me and Joe Wolfon will bring you all of that and more. So we'll see you in a couple hours, and then we'll see you tomorrow night as well. And of course, Raptors, on this road trip, 1-1 so far, not bad. If we come back 2-3, even 3-2, I'd be thrilled. Appreciate you.